Well, you're a professor and you speak on campus, and I'm sure that, would I be presumptive in assuming that people have asked you about your trans status before?
Yes, in fact, when people invite me to campus to talk about statistics or economics or something, I always offer as well that I speak to the GLBT group on campus. I emphasize this point to the undergraduates. I said, look, you're trying to find out who you are. Mm-hmm. So was I, except I finally figured out when I was 53. And it sometimes takes that long.
So we've seen so much violence against trans women. What is the solution to that? Do we try to change the way the state approaches trans people? Do we try to have more cultural understanding in schools?
Well, that for a start, the state's representatives, particularly the cops, need to be sensitive to this and so on. And I think they are much more than they once were. But the main thing is through Oprah, through this wonderful film, Trans America.
Yeah.
It's through popular culture that we change attitudes. And I think that needs to be encouraged.
For someone that might be classical liberal, why should they be making a case right now for trans equality and for talking about gender identity?
What they believe in is, I'm free up to your nose.
Right.
Right? That famous remark. That
sure.
As long as I'm not hurting you, not offending you, that's another matter, but not hurting you, then I'm allowed to do it. And this is a perfect example of it. I don't hurt anyone by being a woman. But I think people grossly exaggerate how much things will change. If one rather small, but not too small, group of people decide to change gender, what's the big deal?
Sure. Another thing that trans women and trans men deal with on a daily basis is public restrooms.
Yeah.
And the fear that you could be arrested for using the bathroom of your gender just because of your physical anatomy.
Yeah.
What can we do to address that issue?
Have some common sense and stop worrying that trans women are in the bathroom in order to look up the dress of women. I mean, come on, let's get sensible about it.
Yeah.
And I think this change of mind is more important than anything else.
So from a human rights perspective, we've been talking about how much discrimination trans people face, not just here in the U.S., but in a lot of places around the globe. They face it a lot worse than you and I probably have. In an ideal world, what do we do to fix discrimination against trans people?
You can approach it from the legal point of view, and that, I think, is a minimum.
Sure.
Because if the state, with its claimed monopoly of violence, is terribly hostile to trans people, then they're going to be jailed, executed. And then, as conservatives always point out, the law has a teaching function. Mm-hmm. And if the message that the law is conveying is hate trans people or hate gays or hate blacks or hate whoever you hate,
sure,
then that's going to show up as behavior in young, angry men.
Right.
And so straightening out the laws is crucial. And that's happened in my lifetime.
Yeah.
But the big problem now is still on this rights front, and on the legal front is abroad. The way Putin, for example, has encouraged homophobia.
Yeah.
But then there are this odd feature that in a place like Iran, or in India for that matter, trans people are more acceptable than homosexuals.
That's weird.
If you're homosexual, you must want to be a girl, right? Okay, then we'll make you a girl.
Yeah.
And actually, they force people to do it.
They do, yeah. In Iran, I know they force people
to. It's
to.
quite disgraceful. Alan Turing, the guy who saved Britain from starving from the submarines by breaking the German naval code, he was forced to take female hormones. Then, there are Uganda and lots of other places where anyone who's out of the ordinary in gender identity is killed. Yeah. And that we've got to work against. But, the place that it really has to happen for it to work is between the ears.
Right.
It's what you do on your in your work, changing people's minds, changing their hearts. That's what's important.